We're paying on
They
time.
used them on Turnpike Road.
What do you think, 7 o'clock?
7 o'clock.
Nice work.
Mr. Chair, you're
Nice work.
the boss.
Thank you, Dave. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to call tonight's meeting to order. Chelmsford Conservation Commission, Tuesday, July 6, 2021, 7 p.m. This is a public meeting, and the proceedings will be recorded as well as televised. The first item on the agenda is our open session citizen concerns area. If there's something that's not on this agenda tonight, just raise your hand, let us know your name and address, and we'll entertain that item. Does anyone have anything that's not on tonight's agenda they would like to address the commission? All right, seeing none, we'll move right along. Under the regulatory hearings, we have a continuation of an amended notice of intent request. We have a note here saying request to continue. This is related to 45 Richardson Road, constructing a two-story addition, retaining wall and patio. Madam Agent, the request for...
Yeah, the request to continue. They did receive DEP comments, quite some extensive ones that they need to address. So they would like to continue to July 20th to give them time to address those.
All right, very good. Do we have a motion?
I want to make sure all of you read that letter from DEP because it was pretty extensive. And there was a letter from Board of
Public
Health,
Health,
but
Board
it
of Health,
was,
Board of
but it
Health.
was
It
like
was-
7
yeah.
or 8 years
Yeah.
old, so it doesn't really.
That's all the Board of Health had.
Move to
Dave?
continue the hearing for 45 Richardson Road until July 20th.
20th. Yeah.
Second the motion.
Motion by Dave, seconded by Mark. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None. Unanimous. All right. Item number 2 down. So now we have a request for determination of applicability. New filing related to 6 McFarland Road, construction of an addition. And do we have a legal notice for this one?
We have a legal notice, Mr. Chair.
All right. Carl?
Under the provisions of the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act, MGL 131, Section 40, and the Chelmsford Wetlands Bylaw, Chapter 187, the Chelmsford Conservation Commission will conduct a public meeting at the town offices of 50 Billerica Road, Chelmsford, on Tuesday, July 6, 2021, at 7 o'clock p.m. for a request for determination of applicability filed by Joseph Goodwin. The applicant wishes to construct an addition on the back of an existing dwelling at 6 McFarland Road. Work will take place within 100 feet of a wetland.
Hey, Carl. Is the applicant present tonight? Okay, sir, why don't you come forward if you want. And if you could just give us your name and address for the record.
Yeah, Joseph Goodwin, 6 McFarland Road.
Yeah, just maybe an overview of what you want to do for the
I'm
commissioners.
just looking to do a family room and a garage addition off the back of the house. The garage will have a room above, and the family room will just be 16 by 30 off the existing house.
Okay, good. Let's see if the commissioners have some questions for you or not. Dave, do you want to start us off?
When was this house originally built?
54, I believe.
And how big is the lot?
The lot,
12,000 square feet.
12,000 square feet. So our no build within 50 feet does not apply. And this is an addition as well. Is the fence, it says fenced yard, is the fencing approximately where the wetland line is, or is the fencing somewhere else?
the back of the fence is right around
Buffer,
the property
rather.
line. Yeah, be short of the property line.
Okay, so the
In the
fenced
back.
yard is about where the 50-foot wetland buffer is?
Yes.
Okay. Is there gonna be a foundation underneath the addition?
Yeah, it'll be full foundation.
You're gonna take the material off-site?
I'm
you gonna
try
use
to
it?
use it to level some of the area, and whatever I don't use, I'll get off-site.
Where are you gonna store the construction equipment?
I think he said he'll be dropping, the guy digging it, he said he'll be dropping it and taking it.
No, but I mean, the construction equipment itself, is it gonna stay, where on the site is it gonna be out back where you're doing the work?
Yes.
Is it gonna be on the
No,
side?
it'll be out back where,
Okay, so we wanna make sure you, and the, okay, that's all I had, Chris.
Thanks, Dave. Bill?
I'm all set.
Okay, John?
I'm all set.
Good. Mark?
Just make sure that you put up the straw wattles at the 50-foot buffer, so nothing goes inside of the wetland area.
okay.
You're not gonna store any materials, like Dave said, it's gonna be outside of that 50-foot area,
Right,
right? When
yeah.
you're digging? You're
Right.
gonna cast over to the left-hand side of the property, right?
Right.
Okay. This has nothing to do with that, but behind your house, you have those noise barriers there?
Yep.
Does water go back and forth in those, in the
No,
wetlands?
I mean, there's one drainage ditch that goes underneath the highway there.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't see it wet very often.
So the Jersey barriers don't let any water in or out from both sides, one side or the other?
Correct. I mean, like I said, there's a little drainage ditch in between,
Yeah.
but it's mostly dry.
That's all I got. Thanks.
Okay, thanks. Carl?
I'm good, thanks.
Okay. Chris?
I'm good, Dave.
All right, good. Katie, you've got an agent's report for us, or anything you want to highlight?
I just had one question. What you said, what you like the hay bales? Is that what you meant? Like on the?
No, straw wattle, it comes in like a sock about that big.
Okay.
And there's bark mulch in it or something like that.
All right.
Put stakes in it.
Okay.
Katie, any highlights you want to?
Yeah, that was pretty much it. Just make sure the erosion control goes in at the limit of the work, between the work and the wetland side of it.
Okay.
So it's, like you said, it's straw wattle. It comes in a roll, it rolls out, and you stake it in the ground.
Okay.
And that'll stay in until everything's stabilized.
Okay.
Construction's done. That's it.
Okay, good. Any other questions from the commissioners? This is a public hearing, so if anyone from the public has any questions or comments they would like to address us, please raise your hand, let us know. All right, no public input. So we're looking for then a motion to approve with a -3 determination with a couple of conditions. If someone want to make a motion?
I move that we issue a -3 determination for 6 McFarland Road. The stipulation, the material be stored outside of 100 feet from the wetlands, and that the straw wattles be used as erosion control material.
Next, Dave?
I don't think you have enough room to store within 100 feet outside of wetlands. The lot's not big enough.
The center of the house is about 100 feet.
He's got the front.
I just don't want to make him do something he can't do.
So could you store them, you can store the material on the left or the right as you excavate?
It could be stored on the left.
Okay, let's do that then. Because you're gonna want to pile it there until you decide how much of it you can use.
Right.
Okay.
Second.
Second by Bill. Any comments before we vote? All those in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? None. Unanimous. You're approved, Mr. Goodwin. Thank you very much. The next item on tonight's agenda is an abbreviated notice of resource area delineation. This is for 255 Princeton Street, a wetland boundary determination. Let's have our legal notice read into the record.
Under the provisions of the Massachusetts Wetland Protection Act, 131, Section 40, and the Chelmsford Wetlands Bylaw, Chapter 187, the Chelmsford Conservation Commission will conduct a public meeting at the town offices, 50 Billerica Road, Chelmsford, on Tuesday, July 6, 2021, at 7:00 p.m. for an abbreviated notice of resource area delineation filed by Mark Baranski. The applicant wishes to confirm wetland and resource area boundaries at 255 Princeton Street. Work will take place within 100 feet of a wetland.
Hey, thanks, Carl. Now we'll hear from the applicant.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. Mark Arnold with Goddard Consulting here on behalf of Mark Baranski for Maple Multifamily Land LLC PLP. And we are here for an ANRAD application, which is the confirmation of bordering vegetated wetlands on the property. I have a plan showing here where we have BVW delineated. In the front of the parcel you have here, which is Princeton Street. You have the old access drive up to the old school site. You have a very high area here. It all slopes down to the front. We have several features inside the BVW. This is the far section here, and then moving to the west, this is the other end of the wetland down here. And again, we have another pond feature here. There is at least 1 or 2 culverts that come in and off the site. One's here. The other is over here. And we're looking to have the commission confirm the delineation of the wetlands.
Okay, thanks a lot. Let's see if the commission has questions, comments. Katie, have you had a chance to look at this one yet? Not
I
yet?
haven't been out there yet.
Not yet? Okay, all right. Dave, any questions?
What's the condition of the site today?
So there's the site is basically stable. There's been several demolitions of the buildings with basically leaving sand at the foundations. Fairly stable, no erosion really noted when we were on the site about a month ago. looking at the whole site just to make sure there was nothing else in the upland areas that we missed from
So is all that
delineations.
work done?
Yes.
Historically, how much of the topsoil has been removed from that site? Do you know?
I do not know. The subsoil was definitely sandy, which was interesting. I was curious if there had been mining at all, but it didn't look like too much grading had occurred overall because I didn't see too many cuts that looked historic.
On the map that you have there, where is the Chelmsford Lowell town lines?
I believe the town line is to the north.
So it's off the site.
I know where that is.
Excuse me.
Okay, hold on. I think it's, so this is Reitman Street right here.
Wait,
So all of the site is in Chelmsford?
yes.
Yes, it is.
Comment, please, from the audience, if you have a question or comment, just raise your hand to be recognized. We'll get your name, address, make sure we have it all for the record.
That's all I had, Chris.
Thanks, Dave. Appreciate it. Do we have what we're going to do is we're going to actually go through the, kind of the commissioners first and then go to the public, all right? Okay, good. Bill?
Yep. This is this possible vernal pool on site. Where would that be?
It's that pond right there.
It would be in the pond area right here. There's the pond on the west end.
Yeah.
And then there's the pond on the east end here that's flooded out. So this is a marsh area. You have kind of a wet meadow space from here over to here. Very thick cattails. So this is definitely more of an open pond area. The other one seems to be getting more overgrown by the monoculture of the cattails.
Yeah. I'm very familiar with it, so I'm fine with that.
Okay.
Good. John?
I don't have nothing just yet.
Okay. Mark?
I don't have nothing on ANRAD until I look at it.
Yeah. Carl, any
Are we
comments?
talking about doing a site walk,
I think so.
a site visit?
Yeah, I think it'd be a good idea.
Then I'm okay.
Good. All right. Chris, anything yet?
I'm all set, Chris.
Okay, good. Katie, I see your recommendations, recommending site walk and, say, continuation to July 20th. This is a public hearing, so this is an opportunity for someone from the public to ask questions or provide us input. So, ma'am?
My name is Elizabeth Matson, Mattson, and I live at 103 Whiteman Street in Chelmsford. I know how the Lowell line, the granite stake there at the beginning of the street delineates the line the way Lowell was cut through. Anyway, I've lived there 30 years now, and so I've seen that wetlands degrade and degrade. And it's true, like every 10 years, a wetland should be dredged, and the cattail garbage that, decomposes should be thinned out. That never happened in the 30 years there, but what else has happened that I noticed? The life that used to be there is dying, along with the wetlands, and it would be really great if this new development can restore it. It used to have peepers in the spring. There was no peepers, and it used to be lots of birds living in it. Red-winged blackbirds, and I don't see anything there. And turtles. I used to always get a stray turtle, have to pick it up and bring it back down to the wet sea. And I really hope that you guys, I'll even come out there with a rake and help you, honest. It was so beautiful. I hope that you can do something to revitalize it.
Well, thank you, Elizabeth. Appreciate your input. Do you want to
We'll
comment?
definitely take that into consideration once the project's proposed. At this time, we're just dealing with the delineation, but I think it definitely does behoove you when you have a wet meadow to be able to maintain it in some form if possible.
Okay, good. Thanks. Anyone else from the public with questions or input for us right now? All right. Dave?
Yes, I have one other
Yeah,
question.
Dave, yeah.
Approximately what percentage of the site do you think will be delineated by what you say are the wetland flags?
Percent-wise, I would look at estimating probably around maybe 10% of the site.
10% of the whole site
The whole
would be
site
wet, and the
would be wet.
90% will
Yeah,
be dry?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. It's fairly distinct once you get there. We did walk the interior of the site because when I saw the delineation based on GIS, I said, let's check elsewhere just to make sure that we didn't miss anything and there's nothing else that the GIS doesn't show. And the soils are well-drained soils, so that shows that you wouldn't expect to have a wetland up top when you have sand underneath it, because there's no buildup of organic material to create a perched water table.
Yeah, Chris, okay.
Dave, anyone else, questions at this point in time? I mean, we're looking at a site walk. When could you be available for a site walk?
Usually we're pretty flexible, so you just ask the commission to figure out what works best for them, and we can make our schedule accommodating.
Good. How do we look for our schedules?
Can we do it in the evening of some night?
I almost think we could, time-wise,
late,
it's still
still
late,
6 o'clock or
Yeah,
6:30
yeah,
or
I'm
something.
thinking 6:30. How's that work for you, Katie? Is your schedule?
Fine,
That's
yeah.
good? Yeah,
Maybe
okay.
even-
Next week sometime?
Yeah, I say next week. Is there any night that's a problem for anyone here?
Tuesdays are open for us usually.
Tuesdays are pretty good.
Tuesdays are usually,
Tuesday's already late for me, so.
actually, I'm up in New Hampshire
do that.
Tuesday, one night
But
so Tuesday I can
do
too.
a sidewalk at
You do
night.
Monday?
You don't have to be here. You still work.
How's Monday look on folks' schedules?
I don't
No.
do Mondays.
No, Wednesdays?
Yeah.
Wednesday. All right, so what is that date on Wednesday?
Wednesday's the 14th, right?
14th?
6 o'clock?
6 o'clock on Wednesday, the 14th. Okay, very good. So we'll need a motion to that effect that we'd have a site walk.
I move we adjourn this meeting, or continue this meeting until July 14th at 6 o'clock at 255 Princeton Street for a site walk to determine the ANRAD delineation.
Okay.
Where can we meet? Well, take care of your...
No, go ahead. That's a good question, Dave.
That's a
Ask
good
that.
question. There is plenty of parking on this asphalt. We may have to double park, but there's a gate right here. I'm not sure. Do we have a key to the gate? Sorry. I'll ask the applicant to park here.
Yes, please. Yes, sir.
Hi, Mark Baranski, I'm the proponent, 2276 Washington Street, Newton, Lower Falls. There is a parking area right in front of the gate. How many cars can be accommodated? Actually, we can open the gate.
Yeah.
That's quite easy, and I have a combo. Unfortunately, I may not be able to be there next Wednesday, but we'll make sure that we have.
Do you need to be there?
I don't know that I do, to be perfectly honest.
You will be there.
I will be
Thank you,
there.
Dennis.
I will be there, and we can. I know we can fit at least 6 to 8 cars there
We're
off
good.
the road.
Oh, that's-
So I think we should be fine. But again, we may have to double park. So, but I think that'd be fine for everybody.
Is there a street name for this road?
255 Princeton Street.
It is 255.
It is
So
255
if we
Princeton
put it on GPS, we'll find
Yep.
it.
All right, well, Dave's got a motion in for the site walk at 6 PM on July 14th. Do we have a second on the motion?
Second.
Seconded by Chris. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? None. And let's get a motion to put this on for the 20th as well.
I move that we continue the hearing for 255 Princeton Street to Tuesday, July 14th.
20th.
I'm
20th.
sorry, July 20th.
20th, and
Second.
seconded. Seconded by Carl. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None unanimous. Very good.
Thank you so much. Have a
very
good night,
much.
sir.
We'll see you soon. Thank you.
Jeez, I'll have to take my wife out to dinner now.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. All right, so,
What's that?
Bet the Glenview's gone. See, now you missed the Glenview.
Pardon me, Mr. Chairman. Just as a matter of form, I do have the.
Oh,
but,
yeah.
oh, excellent.
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you. The next agenda item we have this evening is a notice of intent, a new filing, address of 16 Rack Road, construction of an addition and deck, and we should have a legal notice of that, Carl?
Yes, we do, Mr. Chair. Under the provisions of the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act, 131, Section 40, and the Chelmsford Wetlands Bylaw, Chapter 187, the Chelmsford Conservation Commission will conduct a public meeting at the town offices, 50 Billerica Road, Chelmsford, on Tuesday, July 6, 2021, at 7 p.m. for a notice of intent filed by Elaine Desmaris. The applicant wishes to construct an addition and a deck at 16 Rack Road. Work will take place within 100 feet of a wetland.
Thank you, Carl. And now we'll hear from the applicant.
Sure. Stephen Dresser, Dresser Williamson Way. I'm representing Elaine and Ernest Desmaris on the matter before you. The Desmarises have applied to construct an addition and a deck expansion to the rear of their home within the buffer zone. The lot is greater than 40,000 square feet, however, their home was constructed prior to October 15th, 1990, so it's exempt from Section 187.5A. As per 187.5C, no impervious area would be allowed within 30 feet and no disturbance within 25 feet. The project meets these criteria. The closest point of the addition is 34 feet, from the BVW, and the deck is 36 feet away, and erosion control will be placed at the 25-foot offset to the wetlands to ensure no disturbance within the 25-foot inner buffer zone. The Dismarises were on vacation, however, they're available through me by text. If you have any questions for them, I can text them, so.
Thank you, Mr.
Any
Dresser.
questions, let you know.
Okay, let's see if the commission has some questions. Let's start again. Dave?
Is there any physical barrier between the lawn and the edge of wetlands?
There is not.
There's not. The lawn just goes and stops.
Does, yes.
Okay. Would the applicant be amenable to putting something there to delineate the edge of wetlands so that,
Edge of lawn or something.
I'm sorry?
Oh, sorry.
I'm sure they would if required.
I mean, they'll know where it is, but if they subsequently sell the property, the new owners might not be sure. Usually
Are you talking a physical barrier or
either
vegetation? or-
boulders or a fence or some kind of shrubs, something
Sure.
that just delineates that, so people aren't throwing material from the lawn into the wetlands and
Yep,
stuff like that.
Understood. Yes, they'll agree to that for sure.
That's all I had.
Thanks, Dave. Bill?
I know, I'm good.
Good? Yeah. John?
No, I'm good.
Yeah, Mark?
The addition is that a full foundation? Half wall?
I believe it's a full foundation, yeah. It's a,
I'd just like to see the material cast away from the wetlands, when they're digging.
okay.
There's a s-
No, I
I think we got a stockpile area on the.
circle
plan.
on the,
Stockpile right
Yeah, but
here.
they're gonna have to dig it and push it
yeah.
up there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If it's stockpile, they can cast it away. That would be somewhere if it's,
Yeah, okay.
overnight or, a little more than that, more than likely.
Yeah, I think Katie has a thing that she gives everybody anyways, we're they're that close. Like, you don't wash it.
Oh, yeah, that's
Shoot
that's
out.
our standard. That's a standard now. Yeah.
Okay.
No washing of
In the order.
vehicles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Standard in the order.
Yeah.
I'm good.
I'd just like to add, we don't have a DEP file number.
Right.
Apparently somebody is sick, the person who issues the file numbers,
Yeah.
Elaine was able to find out. So they're a little backed up on the file
Yeah.
numbers.
So we don't have a file number tonight, so we'll have to wait on that.
Yeah, Mark?
I'm good.
Good,
I'm all
good, good. Carl?
I'm good,
Yeah,
thanks.
Chris?
I'm good, Chris.
All right, good. Katie, further comments?
I was just wondering if are there any roof drains proposed for the new addition to handle
We have not proposed any.
Okay. Any side trenches along it? Do we usually see those? I don't know. If the commission
We haven't
wants
been
to
really
see.
asking for that, have we? Rain gardens or?
Yeah, just like the roof drains that go to a stone trench along the new addition
Right.
to kind of collect extra, but
I never really thought much about it because it's clean water, so I
Yeah.
don't really get excited over it.
yeah.
Not like a
I just don't know
driveway.
with the new stormwater bylaw.
Oh,
We're not
right.
we're not there yet, so
Right,
we
right.
will be soon.
Oh, they're not,
It was approved, but I haven't heard much more about it.
Okay.
They're working on the
it might be interesting for us to develop a standard rain garden.
I kind of
Fairly
like it,
sim- Fairly simple.
Yeah.
And just ask each
Yeah.
applicant, I mean,
It-
I'm not talking, I don't want something that's thousands of dollars.
right. 'Cause
No.
the homeowner has to maintain it, so
Right,
and they can be tricky sometimes.
but to have it as a standard that we ask people to adopt.
Yeah, and it's better than going underground chambers because they get
Yeah.
expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen any standard rain gardens in your travels that we might be able to look at and say that one might work for Chelmsford?
No,
more?
not recently.
Yeah.
Could ask MACC.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's something we can take a look at,
Carl's got an open line with MACC.
Anyways, no, I was just wondering if there were any proposed for this. Or they're obviously gonna have gutters on it or something, right? You know.
I don't know that they'd have gutters, but putting, we're getting there in just about every community with some type of.
Right.
stormwater
I haven't
thing.
seen our stormwater management regs. Do you know if they apply to individual homes?
I do not believe they do, but I'm
Okay.
not sure if they, yeah.
I'm assuming you're gonna check it, so you.
Well, maybe you can take a look at possible rain garden as an
Okay, and
option.
I'll speak to the
Take a
applicant.
look.
Particularly if the homeowner likes gardens.
Yeah, might be a good asset for it, honestly. Thank you for telling us. So we're waiting on the DEP file number.
Yep.
I'm not hearing, a lot of concerns right now. So I think we continue it.
Okay,
We're
so-
looking for continuation.
I'm sorry? Do you want a motion?
Anything, John?
Chris?
Anything? Yeah?
No,
No?
they have gutter drains already on here,
On the existing house.
on the
Yeah.
existing house, so that
They run straight out though.
All right, well, could I have a motion then to continue to our next meeting of July 20th,
Or
please?
do we want to issue an approval subject to a DEP
Yeah.
number?
You want to be careful with that, in case they, not that, I don't think they'll comment on this, but if they were to comment, once we issue an approval, we have 21 days to actually issue the permit to the person, to the applicant. So if DEP comes back with their comments after like 40 days, like they've been doing, the applicant's going to get an appeal. So it might be better just to continue to the 20th, and then if the file number's there, we'll just approve it that
Right,
night. They
I'm
don't
wi-
have to come back. They're just, like,
Okay. I didn't realize it, no, okay.
so once the commission says we approve this, I have 21 days to get it to the applicant, and within those 21 days,
But it's conditional.
DEP could comment.
But our
Or
approval is
appeal.
conditional.
You can't condition, I don't think you can do that.
We have in the
It's been-
past.
Yeah, I don't think we're supposed to. It's been a whole thing with DEP.
That's good. I'm glad we don't
That's
have
when the
to.
old regime was in there.
The old,
Yeah, that was the old chair.
I
the
never
previous,
wanted-
the
I
previous
never-
administration. yeah.
I never wanted to continue subject to. You
We're not
guys,
supposed
you
to in
guys
case,
made me.
in
We
case
made
there's
him.
comments.
Revisionist history right there, revisionist
All right.
history.
It's
I
best
mo-
just to continue and then approve it when the file
I
comes.
move we
comes.
continue the hearing for
Katie.
16 Rack Road until July 20th.
Thank you, Mr. McLaughlin. Who's the second on? Heard it's just Chris T. on the second. Any further comment on this motion? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None. Unanimous.
Thank you
We'll
very
see you
much.
on the 20th,
Or maybe not,
hopefully.
if there's a file number.
If there's a
They're
file number,
terrible,
yes.
right?
There, yeah, 45 Richardson took her 40 days
Really?
to issue comments, and only because I emailed and pushed for him.
I'm glad you did. All right, so, Rack Road. All right. Do we have a,
We were low? The applicants aren't here for the other ones?
No, they want to continue. I just got a continuance request this morning.
Oh,
okay, I was gonna say.
Because they
it's
also
empty.
haven't heard from DEP. It's not even in the system yet.
Oh,
So
okay.
The last
What is
two?
with DEP?
I guess the person's sick. The only person that does file numbers and comments. So,
So you want a motion to continue Longview?
should we open it and read the legal ad, or just continue?
Let's open it up and
Read the
give
legal
Carl a
ad.
chance to do the legal ad.
Yeah.
He's doing such a good job,
And then we'll continue it.
all right?
He needs the experience.
He does. He's on a roll. Let's keep it going. I
Are you
will-
asking me to read this, Mr. Chair?
Yes, with respect to 9 Longview Road, construction addition and deck. Please, the legal notice.
Yes, Mr. Chair. Under the provisions of the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act, MGL 131, Section 40, and the Chelmsford Wetlands Bylaw, Chapter 187, the Chelmsford Conservation Commission will conduct a public meeting at the town offices of 50 Billerica Road, Chelmsford, on Tuesday, July 6, 2021, at 7 p.m. for a notice of intent filed by Mark Harulis. The applicant wishes to construct an addition and deck at 9 Longview Road. Work will take place within 100 feet of a wetland.
Thank you, Carl. And now if we have a motion to continue to July 20th.
I move we continue the hearing for 9 Longview Road until
And seconded?
September,
Sure.
July 20th.
I just,
Mark.
yes, I second.
Okay.
I just had a question. Is that the one with, we had the problem up on, oh, it is? Okay.
Yes.
Well, 9 Longview is halfway down
Don't
the
bring that
street,
back
right?
up.
Where is 9 halfway down the street?
Yeah.
yeah, on left or right?
It was the last two were the ones we had all the.
Right.
That was on the right. There was that.
It was on the
that-
left.
No,
They both
Detention
were-
pond was on the right.
Yeah. Yeah, you're bringing up your.
That's the same
All
place.
right, well,
though,
now
right?
that we've identified the locus of the problem.
Yeah.
We'll see what's happened. We'll see what's happened in 2
Do you
years.
remember that?
So,
What was that, like 4
Motion
years
by
ago?
Dave, seconded by Mark. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? None. We're good. We're good. You know, it's nice that we don't have to do this. That was like a pain in the neck. We had to do those roll calls when we were doing the Zoom thing. You know, it's like one of. All right.
I miss
And another item here, coming up on our agenda, is a request for certificate of compliance with respect to DEP file 129-0422, 1 Howell Ridge Road.
Yes.
What do you got on that one, Katie?
Hollow Ridge Road.
Where is it?
I know.
I never heard of
I
that.
can't remember now. I looked
Mark,
at
you'll
this a
know
while
where it
ago.
is.
Hollow Ridge, you ever hear of Hollow Ridge?
It's it was a subdivision. So they're trying to release lot number 1 from it because that's when the commission used to do individual lots instead of the whole subdivision. So I'll tell you where it is in a second. Built in 1998. The house is literally just the house and the lawn. Nothing has changed.
Crossroads? Where is it? Is there a crossroad?
It's off of North Road, off of Fairview Street.
Fairview.
Fairview.
Yep,
That's
it
like
has.
Dave's backyard,
It
isn't it?
has
No,
one,
no,
two,
not Fairbanks.
one,
Fairview.
two,
Fairview.
3, 4. It
I
has
don't know
6
where Fairview
houses on it.
That North
6
Chelmsford?
house street.
Of what?
It's a subdivision off of Fairview, so might have been called something else in '98. The subdivision.
Behind Galleria Day Spa?
Yes, it is. It's the house right behind.
How do you know where Galleria Day Spa is?
Yeah, see, I'm on Google.
Don't want to go there.
It's all technology now.
Actually, that's what.
So,
So as far as you're concerned,
yeah,
everything's okay?
it's, I mean, in 1998, lot
I do that
1
Oh, it's,
has a wetland on site, but nothing has
Where is it, John?
Right by the
been done
state,
to
yeah.
the site.
Any questions before we vote to approve?
it used to be,
Where Emerson's parents lived.
So, no questions. Motion to issue the certificate of compliance by, who wants to make that
I
motion?
move we issue a certificate of compliance for 1 Hollow Ridge Road.
Thanks, Dave, and seconded by Steve,
Anybody look at it?
Yeah.
You did? Oh, I didn't hear, I'm sorry.
our trusty agent.
oh, I know what it is. I see just Sadowski's
I
house.
know, I know.
Trusty agent.
Used to play baseball there.
All those in favor?
Policeman.
Aye. Any opposed? Unanimous. All right. Vivian, want to make sure we get that vote down. I can tell down there.
What happens if someone is opposed?
All right. Discussion, 21 State Street trees.
So I had a resident come in. She lives at 21 State Street, and it abuts Town Forest. Is that what it is, or it's
Which
Town
one?
Forest?
Yeah.
Yeah, Town
Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving. She has one large tree that she's pretty sure is on conservation land that could hit her house. It's about 100 feet tall. I asked Scott Ludwig to find out if the tree is on our land, and he said he hasn't been out yet physically, but he's looked at the map, and he said the stone wall is the definite line, so if she says it's behind the stone wall, it's our tree. So I have to confirm with her, but if it is, we need to do what we do to get that tree cut, and I think we send it up to Paul, right, Dave? Is that what we do?
Yeah.
So
All right, so you're working on
I
it.
just need like a,
Yeah.
you know,
You get a lot of those requests for tree cutting on conservation?
yeah. I mean, they come in not lately, but they have
You
been.
have to entertain them all?
I have to.
Well,
Well, a lot of people have gotten to the point where they're like, "We'll cut them, just give us permission." So
Okay.
I'll look at some, and if they're not in wetland areas, I'm
Because
like,
a
yeah,
few
you
years
can.
back, Paul stepped up to that and said, we'll cut, we'll pay
Because
for it.
Dave had
Right.
to sit down, yeah. Because
The
we were
state-
having a problem with DPW not wanting
State
to do
Street,
it.
yeah, 21 State Street abuts on our property.
Right.
So Scott's right. Our lot line and their lot line is the same, so if that tree is, if she says it's on our property, then,
Yeah, she marked it, so I'll have
Okay.
to. I'll confirm with her, and then I guess I'll send it up to Paul, right?
yeah. Because he said he would pay, the town would pay for it.
Do we know what kind of tree it is?
Pine tree.
It's pine, yeah.
Big
Yeah,
is
they're
So we-
Had trouble.
huge.
Yeah.
soft and it's brittle,
No
right?
root system. Shallow roots with tall trees.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and-
Yeah.
yeah.
We're probably gonna see a lot more of those.
All right, well, very good. Next item up is Willis Drive. Anything new on Willis
Yeah,
Drive?
this is never going away.
Uh,
She's called.
Darlene?
Darlene Farrell's
Farrell called
calling again. The markers apparently aren't there anymore.
What markers?
Boundary markers, conservation land.
They were there when I was there 3 weeks
So
ago,
apparently they're gone again.
and I put up signs.
So,
Somebody
and
took
the
it.
dock apparently there's more mess there, more piles
I
of
was there
boards.
today.
Right.
The dock is in the water.
Oh, it's in the water
place
now.
is spotless.
Okay, good.
There's nothing wrong
So
up there.
she asked for George Dixon's phone number.
Good.
So she's gonna call George.
Very good. Good. Very good. He welcomes public input. I know he does.
The kids that use the raft hauled it onto our property in order to fix it. They took a couple of weeks, they fixed it, they put it back in the water, right, Billy?
Right.
And now, and Billy said that they've cleaned up, I mean, the lot's not a big lot. There are still a half a dozen boats probably stored on it, one of which may be Miss Farrell's. boat, which has been there for at least 3 years. So if it gets any worse, remember I told you that talking to the town manager, we have the right to remove any property upon notice, which means we could say, if the boats are there after a certain time, we'll take them away. But then we've got to find a place to store them, and we've got to figure out what to do with them. So at this point, if it's not a problem, and if it's only one, I think we can live with it. We'll just have to keep an eye on it, that's all. And Billy goes by once a week.
He's
so.
a regular.
Almost every day.
Yeah, almost
Are
every day.
do you notice that the boundary markers are there? Do you?
I haven't paid attention to those.
We put round
Right.
conservation metal on 2 trees, and below those markers, I actually put up the specific land use regulations for Freeman Lake.
I'll look tomorrow.
So it's quite possible somebody tore them down.
Possible. I'll look tomorrow for
Yeah,
them.
Billy will double check.
I must say, the people who live directly across the street from the property kind of keep an eye on it. I don't know who they are. I've talked to the woman owner, and she and her husband kind of keep an eye on it. I think he does mow it, not every week, but he mows it occasionally to keep the grass down. I think, you're right, I think we can take this off the agenda, but we have to keep listening to Ms. Farrell, so.
Yeah, maybe we can take it off the agenda for now, and
Okay, unless it comes.
unless
up
there's some
again.
sort of significant updates that happen. All right, and then, so now moving on to the agenda, we've under land management, we have the Warren Poll update. I did want to say for the record, I was personally disappointed with the town meeting denying the article for funds for us. I thought it was the wrong decision by the town meeting. I was concerned, it was not a lot of money, particularly when you looked at the, millions and millions of dollars at town meeting that was voted in affirmative. Not a lot of money, and the money would have been used, in my mind, for improving the sight line, which I think is dangerous, and there's a public safety aspect of having the money and be able to engineer things properly. So having the public safety of making sure there was a proper sight line and the right signs to make sure we don't have someone get hurt or have an accident out there at the entrance. And then also number 2, handicap spaces, and having a parking lot that could really be handicap accessible, be able to include all citizens of this town and have that access, and particularly the people that might be handicapped, needing wheelchair access, or people that arrive with walkers and canes. So I was personally disappointed by that decision by the town meeting the other week. So, but anyway, so I'll turn it now over to Dave, or was it Carl for an update? Carl?
Yeah, so I'll start with one other topic, and then I'll get on that for a minute, and then Dave will talk about the conservation restriction. The Crooked Spring Bridge, Seth Rigby completed his work at the bridge, Crooked Spring, which is great to have that path over the brook. I looked at it. I have a couple of issues with it in terms of the lead-in, but I know Phil has posted at least that he's going to work on the lead-in with some gravel or something to help with the approach. But in general, he did a nice job, and he got it together. It's pretty narrow. It's not wide. It's very narrow, and it's right up against the road. I think in a perfect world would be about 30 feet closer to the dam off the road, but it's far better than putting people out on the street. So, Bill, did I hear that?
Yeah, I went up there. I walked across, looked at the construction. I thought he did a great job. They put the outriggers on with some extra bracing.
That was after.
That looks
I didn't
good.
see that, yeah.
Yeah. And I agree with you. The only thing that I saw that was an issue, and I think Phil addressed it in his on Facebook, that they need some riprap on each end, because it's a steep slope with about an 8-inch step up to the ramp. So if put some riprap, it won't wash into the stream. It'll finish it off. But I think he did a great job.
Yep.
Is it physically so close to Crooked Spring Road that the snowplows might take it out?
No.
Not,
Might-
okay.
Well,
Put a
not a
snow
snowplow taking
against
it out, but if a
snow-
front loader was
Because that's
putting-
right at the intersection, right?
It's
Could
right-
have some
it's-
impact. You
yeah,
could have some
Okay,
impact.
so I have
yeah.
to keep an eye on
yeah,
it. that's all.
it's right. It's still right there.
It's close to the road.
It's still really close. Yeah, but it's far better than putting people out on the street. But
Okay.
when you come off it, you're still right at you're only like 6 feet from the street. You're not far.
Good.
So
I think we ought to send a note to the Scout, thanking him
Did-
for the work that he
Great
did?
idea, Dave.
Did we?
And I
we
think
had-
we owe him some
we
money,
owed some
right?
money.
Yeah, we're working on that.
That's
He needs
in
to give us-
process?
He needs to give
Yeah,
us a bill.
Colleen has it
Okay,
processing.
okay.
Oh,
All right.
good.
I didn't know if that
Fiscal year
had
and
started, the wheels had
So
turned.
Katie, can you
Okay.
get, as Dave suggested, can you get a letter out to the scout?
Yeah, I can
thanking
include
them?
it in the check.
That being said, I know we have at least one other site that we've had a scout do some work on, which is the Russell Mill Conservation Garden, and I haven't been there in a while, but we should take a look at that and, if nothing else, do a similar kind of letter.
It's nice
on
when
our
they get those
properties.
letters, because when they get their Eagle ceremony, a lot of times they'll bring out a binder and they'll have documentation like that from us, and
Yeah.
that'll be an important part of
Certainly
the
on
whole Eagle Scout
conservation
Award.
properties. Those are the only two I know of. Phil's got a bunch of them, but those are the only two I know of that are on conservation property. So just one quick thing is, I know there was the wedding at Red Wing Farm like 2 weeks ago or so. Do we know how that went? I assume it went fine. I never heard anything.
Heard any negative?
We
Just
did give
curious.
him a
I'm just curious.
Yeah, we did have a permit, and then we also allowed the guy to have the tree company park to access the trees to cut them. Remember that we said he could park. The tree company could
Oh,
park
right.
in the Red Wing parking lot
Right.
to reach
right.
over and cut the trees. So I haven't heard anything negative about that.
That was the neighbor. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
and I think that happened. I haven't heard from Phil. I'd let Phil know. So
Whose house?
It-
The one that Charlene
Yeah.
probably used to own?
yeah,
Okay, the new people,
yeah,
okay.
they had to reach the trees right there on the Red Wing side.
So the married people are still married, is that what you're saying?
That's a good site, apparently, at least we have like one marriage a year at that site. It must bring good luck too, I guess.
Could be.
So the Warren Poll, I'll keep things moving here. The Warren Poll site, yes, you're right, Chris. It is disappointing that we didn't get the CPC funding. In the meantime, Dave and I have met with Paul Cohen and Steve Yanley and Gary Persichetti about finding alternate ways to fund this work, to make it happen, because we still want to make it happen this year. And we're looking at a plan. We're looking at ways to make this happen. And I know that Steve may be talking to you soon about, if not already, about getting a one of the town or somebody in one of our typical engineers to do wetland delineation, which we need to have done for the work that's being done. It's pretty minor, but we need to make sure we do everything right. And so that should be happening sometime. We'll file an NOI.
Carl and I feel that a notice of intent should be filed, because on either side of that driveway, on one side there's a small pond, and on the other side is Putnam Brook, and they're probably both within 100 feet. So we want to make sure that, for as far as the jurisdiction is concerned, we do the paperwork right.
Yep. So we think we'll be able to come up with funding in a few different ways to make this work. Between Steve and Paul and Gary, they kind of felt that they could make it work.
At a conservation car wash.
A bake
Chris
sale.
out.
We can do a
Put
bake
Chris out
sale.
with a sign.
All the commission members in bikinis?
No, that will not happen.
They'll throw money at us to go
All right,
back
so-
inside.
So we're hoping, and Gary and Steve both kind of nodded. I said, is this something that we think we can have done by the end of this year? And they said, oh, yeah, we think so. So, between, we got to follow the process, and we'll have a plan and all that.
They meant
but,
fiscal year, and that ended.
no, I said the end of this calendar year. I said calendar year, and they nodded, and
Carl,
they
yeah.
kind of were like, yeah, sure. And I'm like, October, November? Yeah. So we'll
Carl and
see.
I gave them a list of about 30 different things that have to be done on the site to make the parking work. So they're going to work to that list. It's pretty much the stuff that you guys have heard about.
So, and then we will post, probably in the next month or so, we'll put another update on this out on the town website, once we get a little more detail and a little more update on what's going on. And that's all I have for land management, and I'll leave it to Dave. We'll talk about the conservation restriction and the progress there.
Carl, when will it be open to the public?
Well, that's hoping by the end of this year, if not, maybe even October, November, but.
I mean, technically, it's not open to the public
Right.
now, and it won't be until the parking lot's approved, because there's no place really to put cars and to let people in.
That's a big point, really. My concern with the lack of action from town meeting was it's really setting the whole town back.
Right.
For having access to a wonderful site where we went out,
Exactly.
voted it, got it approved, and then not to have access to a wonderful
You're
site.
right, you're
People ask
absolutely, you're
me all the
absolutely right.
time if it's open.
You're absolutely right.
Right.
But
get
we're trying to
emails.
find another way to make it work,
I
so.
really appreciate that. Like, you guys are great, you're persevering, and
And we have
I really
told,
appreciate it.
we've told Paul and Gary and Steve that the parking should accommodate at least 18 cars, of which 2 are handicapped accessible. There may be room to put more parking there, and the parking lots, each lot will have a cement buffer, barrier at the front. So that, and we need enough turnaround for cars to get in and out. And also, there needs to be enough access for emergency vehicles. We think we can make the driveway much wider than it currently is. It appears as if the lot line that Scott Ludwig has marked is almost 25 feet wide, whereas the driveway
Right
looks
now
like it's 16 to 18.
Right now.
So there may be room to widen it. I don't know if it's going to be wide enough for 2 cars, but it'll be wider, and then, as we talked about before, we can make 2 pull-off areas so that a car can pull off if they can't get by.
Dave, why would you want 2 ADA parking spaces?
Why 2?
Yeah.
We don't
Really,
need,
you
we
only
don't need any.
You only need 1, right?
We don't need any,
Right.
because it's not asphalt. We just felt 2 would be appropriate. No, you're right. No, I mean, no legal reason. In fact, I think the federal laws, you're right, it's 1 per 25, right? I think something like that.
Yeah.
But we felt we could get 2 in there, so we'll see what happens.
Good, good. All right.
Can we go through the conservation restriction? Just an update. Carl and I have been through, this is our 3rd iteration. So the Chelmsford Land Conservation Trust drafted the original document, gave it to us, we commented on it. They came back to us with their comments, we commented on again. This 3rd one they have not seen. My plan, or our plan, is to get agreement on what is in this document from the commission. The procedure will be, we will end up negotiating with the Conservation Land Trust. Conservation Commission will then approve, and then the final approval goes to the Board of Selectmen. They're the people that sign the document. The reason there's a conservation restriction is because this land was acquired with CPC funds. The state law requires that there be a conservation restriction on land that's been bought with CPC funds. A third party has to hold the conservation restriction. Third party cannot be a town entity. It has to be a private entity. The reason we're talking with the Conservation Land Trust is they hold 2 restrictions right now with the town. One is on the Sheehan Farm, the other is on Sunny Meadows. So they have experience with the town, and they have both on the document side and also the town itself.
So Dave, so I mean, if for some reason we couldn't come to terms with the land trust, the Chelmsford Land Trust, I mean, we could still work with another third-party private entity.
Audubon.
You know, Audubon, Sudbury Valley Trustees, Friends of the Reservations and things like that, right?
That is true. The practical reality of it is that it's a pretty close community of people who hold land conservation restrictions. There's somewhat of a reluctance for holders to be in a town different from the town where the property is. And I think from a practical perspective, you can probably understand why that's the case.
I have seen them there. I mean, I know from experience down in Framingham, they started out with a lot of land in Framingham, worked their way up through Sudbury, and they've gone all the way up to the North Shore, so.
We've got a list of up to half a dozen of other entities that could possibly hold it.
Yep.
In town, Dave?
No, they're not in, no,
Nobody else.
as far as I know, the only one in town is the Conservation Land Trust. Now, I don't know what the bona fides of a third party have to be. I don't think there are any. I think, for
No, I think there are. There are requirements for the
Okay.
land,
So-
for the grantee.
But Chris is absolutely right. If we get between a rock and a hard place, then we may have to go somewhere else. There's no requirement that we deal with the land trust. Now, having said that, I think our discussions to date have been pretty decent.
Good.
There's one particular area which I'll mention in here as we go through it. This document, forget the state boilerplate. There's two sections to this document. One document is a list of things that we can't do, and the land trust will review over time that we haven't done them. It might be an annual audit or just understanding what we're working. Then there's also a list of things we can do. So list of things we can't do, for example, and they're pretty much the stuff we don't want to do anyhow. But what I'd like to do is just to go through, and there's about 8 or 9 of things we can't do, and there's maybe 12 or 15 things we can do.
And these are boilerplate things, or these
Then-
things that
no,
were...
no, they may have started out as boilerplate, but they're somewhat unique to us. The one general area where Carl and I have a problem is that under the things that we can do, there are occasional phrases that say, you can do this, but you need approval of the land trust to do it, which to me is a contradiction in terms. Either you can do it or you can't do it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we can do it by right or.
So you'll see, and you'll see, I think you can see this, maybe half of the things in there. So here again, what I'd like to do is to just not quickly, but go through it, take as your time. If you need clarification, or if you think there's something pretty wrong with what we're trying to get at, we want to know it so we can incorporate it. The next step would be to come up with a clean draft, show it to our attorneys who are his town council, get their last comments. Then Carl and I would sit down with Dale, who's the president of the land trust, face-to-face, negotiate the document without any lawyers present, and then after that, bring the lawyers in. I don't want to bring the lawyers in on day one. I don't think that makes sense. I think they start running up their fees. So
At what point does this have to be done? Is there a time limit
No.
on this?
no, in fact,
That's the thing is, there's really no hard limit on doing this, other than the state will occasionally run a report of properties purchased in the state with using community preservation funds, and they have usually they'll have an summer intern, compare that list to the conservation restrictions we have documented, and when there's gaps, they'll go chase that town. So it could be next year, it could be 3 or 4 years from now.
I think Sunny
And
Meadows
then they would
took,
just say, you need to finish this. But
yeah.
that being said, we really want to get this done. We want
I think
this
Sunny
to be
Meadows
done.
took 4 years.
Right,
if
yeah, it
I
was
recall.
years. It was years from what I heard. I don't know how many, but
We think,
But-
assuming we can get to yes, we think we can have a document that can be submitted to the state in next year sometime. Because
by the end of this year,
because
but more likely
we
next
have to get agreement on the document, then there have to be some exhibits created that go with it, one of which is a survey, which Scott Ludwig has finished, but it's not in report form yet. The other is a natural resource inventory, which a third party has been hired to do, and that will not be completed until late fall, because they have to look at the foliage as well. And what they do is they describe the property as it exists today in terms of a natural resource. And that's a baseline from which to measure things you can't do and things you can do. So
My concern, Dave, is that if we rush this, or I don't want to lose control of a property that, or have someone micromanage a property that was the conservation's to oversee.
Right.
I understand the restriction
Right.
point, part of it.
I think that's a critical point, Bill.
That's my concern, and that's why I'm almost leaning towards going to say the Audubon or some other concerned to oversee it.
Except, Billy, the devil you know may be better.
No, I know,
than the
I'm
devil
not
you
saying
don't
there's
know.
anything wrong with this.
So I did
I just want to
talk-
be
Yeah.
very careful that we don't lose control of something or are micromanaged
Yep.
on a piece of property, because
Yeah.
all of our other properties, we pretty much control what happens.
Well, for
or doesn't
example,
happen.
right now, since there is no conservation restriction, we will go ahead and design and build the parking lot. Now, if the conservation restriction had been in place, then the land trust would have a say in that parking lot.
Is that the land trust or any other concern that holds a restriction,
Anyone else who holds a,
anyone else?
right, particularly
When
if
does their responsibility start and stop? I mean, are they,
it starts and stops with the list of things we can't do and a list of things we can do.
Yeah, that being said,
to be
it's
in
not
that.
like we can go crazy between now and when this thing gets signed. We can't go do,
we're not
it's
going
not
to, but-
responsible to go do things that don't make sense. Putting a parking lot is the responsible thing to do, so we want to do that.
right?
But we don't technically have to get their approval because we have no agreement with them. But we're going to
Right.
still share with them the plan. We'll notify them that's what we're doing, but it's not looking for their approval. It's just notifying them that that's what we're doing. And the other thing is, I did speak with a consultant who has done a number of these, and his comment was kind of similar to what Dave said earlier, that the land trust has these concerns. Chances are any other entity that we deal with would have the same concerns. That, as Dave said, it's a tight group or it's a limited group. So it's not a slam dunk that we can't just go shopping anywhere and expect to be able to get our price. So I don't want to say we're limited, but we're at the same time we're not locked in there. So we want to get it done with them. I think we'll get there.
Billy, you said what I totally agree with you is, the Warren Pole Farm is under the responsibility of the Chelmsford Conservation Commission, no one else. We're responsible for managing and maintaining that property, and we will do that.
And I just want to make sure that
Right.
because of haste or any other
Right.
reason, somehow gets lost in the paperwork.
Good.
No, yeah, I agree, Bill. We want to be careful. We want to do it right. And,
And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with what's
Yep.
proposed or what we're talking about here
Yep.
now.
Sure.
I just want to, if we don't have a timeline that we have to get it done in 3 months or 6 months, let's take our time to do
We'll
it
take
correctly.
the time to do it right.
Right.
Yep.
And then all parties, we get a better product.
Yep.
Could we go through the document? Just go to section 1, purposes. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 purposes of this restriction, and those purposes go to the conservation values. Open space protection, which I think we all agree with. Public access, protection for agricultural resources, protection of remember, this originally was a farm. What we want to do is keep the property open for possible agricultural uses in the future, which we are unaware of today. We don't want to preclude future conservation commissions from doing some things of an agricultural nature. Specific near-term example are, we've talked a little bit about some limited orchards and some limited beekeeping. But remember, the public was very much against making this property a commercial farm. But you'll see in here, there's a lot of reference to agriculture, because we want to be able, interesting subject to say something about today and age. We said to ourselves, 70 years from now, this town may be short of food. Maybe we'd
10
like.
years from now.
Well, I'm not so pessimistic. Maybe the town would want to get into the business of making food for its citizens. So we at least want to. We don't want to preclude the commission from doing some agriculture, and that's what that means. Water supply protection. I think you remember the original Warren article talked about that as a reason for acquiring it. There's been some very preliminary discussions, maybe one with the Chelmsford Water Department, They said, yeah, we might be interested, but no work has been done on it. But here again, we want to keep that option open, but it's still the Conservation Commission's responsibility and authority to have that. It's just
It's the backup to a backup at this point.
I mean, right now, we know they're trying to do something with Misty Meadows, right? And then educational resources, we want to be able to use the site as a training site for kids and for adults, if possible. We've had some discussions with Becky Warren about having some educational stands along the trails describing the history of the farm and that kind of thing. And then if you go down to the prohibited acts, the first one is preventing temporary or permanent buildings, tennis courts, landing strip. We got pretty specific in some of these. Landing strip, mobile homes, swimming pools, asphalt or concrete pavement. But here again, some things, some buildings are permitted in Section 2 down below. For example, temporary buildings that are associated with a greenhouse or with farming, or to make sure we can use, there's a barn there and there's a garage or a work shed. We want to be able to expand and work with those to support the site. The second one is we agree we won't do any mining or excavating or dredging of the promises. We're not going to go looking for gold.
Darn it. That's going to be my first task.
What?
Gold out there.
Third one is we agree we will not introduce invasive plants to the site on purpose. Now, I'm sure there are going to be invasive plants on the site, and we have the authority to get rid of them, as you'll see below. The fourth one, this is stop stockpiling of material.
It's not a DPW lot.
That's right. We can't do those kinds of things. The fifth one is that we can't destroy the trees or grasses or vegetation except that's allowed below, and what's allowed below is to maintain the hay fields, and maintain the uplands. Drainage, we're not allowed to put in new drainage that would change the site. We're not allowed for parking, driveways, and trails. We're saying that whatever parking, driveways, and trails we put in will not be made of asphalt. They will be impervious. We'll allow...
It will be pervious.
I keep saying it wrong. They will be pervious, so that any stuff can run through them. This one is a bit... This next one is defining the parking area, and so we talk about limiting parking necessary for public safety is okay. We won't allow motorcycles, mopeds, all-terrain vehicles, motorized trail bikes, snowmobiles, or other motorized vehicles, but we will allow them if they're needed for public safety. There will be limited parking to allow public access to the trails, and we define what it is below. And then we say we cannot use the purposes for the... I gotta have trouble reading. We can use the purposes to fix agriculture equipment. We also have agreed we will not have unmanned aerial vehicles so we don't want people flying drones out there. On the other hand, and Carl's going to give me some language on this, we may want to have an organized drone activity of some kind for the town, where it's actually a competition. But we want to control that. But we don't want just people walking out on the site with their drone and flying it all over the place.
Would have to be an event day kind of thing.
Yeah. It says we can't subdivide or sell off the property. We can't use the property for business, residential, or industrial use. We can't disrupt, remove, or destroy any stone walls or granite fence posts. There are some exceptions because we feel we may have to adjust the stone walls to accommodate the haying of the fields. some of the equipment today is much bigger than it was when the stone walls were originally built. So,
When it was a
although
horse and
this says we can't destroy or destruct a stone wall, we're gonna have to do it to allow somebody on the site to hay. And then there's a catch-all in 12. Now, the things we can do.
Dave, before
Yeah,
you go further.
yeah, sure.
Okay, say at some point there was a need for the parking at a Park Road and an access to the site from that area. Would that be a restricted use with this? I mean, would be allowed
Has
to
to be
expand?
It has to be pervious, that's my understanding.
There's a discussion below about trails. I think what you're talking about is if we were to put a new trail in from the existing trails through the Gadbois, next to the Gadbois property to Parker Ave or Road?
Parker
Parker
Road,
Road,
towards the right reservation.
towards the right reservation. That's what pertains here. What we do in right reservation is outside of this. This does not have any control over what we do on any other reservation
Okay,
of
so
which.
you've covered it under trails and additional
Yeah,
trails?
this would allow us to make trails, new trails. But that's one of the things that I believe the Land Trust wants to have approval on making a trail,
And we don't want
which
that.
we're like,
So rights, reserve rights and exceptions, this says we can do activities and our agents can do activities. Because our primary agent hopefully will be the Chelmsford Open Space Stewards, and that's why they're called out here.
but the agents could even be
It could be anybody.
a business, you know, we
Yeah.
could get a forestry company
Right.
come in to cut trees down.
Yeah, anyone who meets the definition of a Conservation Commission agent. It allows us to manage vegetation
Invasives, yeah.
on the site. It allows us to manage and remove invasive and non-native or nuisance species. These are things we can do. It allows us to compost and burn on the site within some restrictions. We can't do it within 100 feet of a stream. This allows us to improve the wildlife habitat on the site. Now, you notice here on number 4, there's a strike through of some blue words there. I think they're blue on your hard copy.
Yep.
The Land Trust has said with the prior written approval of the grantee, that's the Land Trust, which approval shall not be unreasonably withheld, that we can do these things. We're saying, wait a minute, it's our responsibility to manage wildlife, not yours.
Yep.
So that will be our right. So that's why we struck this out.
That's to your concern, Bill, too.
Section 5 is there may be some archaeological activity on the site. It says we can do it so long as we work and have approval of the Mass Historical Commission. Here again, they wanted to say in that, and we struck that out. They want approval in writing before we do any archaeological investigation. We're saying no. Trails, here again, it's originally said with, they wanted approval on all new trails. We're saying no. We have defined the width, will limit a trail to 6 feet in width, and that we will address handicapped issues on our trails. But here again, trail maintenance, trail construction is the responsibility of the Conservation Commission. It's signs, we can put up signs that are consistent with telling people about what the conservation land's all about. We can't put up a sign advertising Walmart. Outdoor passive recreation activities are allowed. They did not want to allow horseback riding.
What? I
We've-
don't like them, get rid of them.
Remember, you're on TV. We said, no, we allow horseback riding
How I feel.
on our sites, so it's gonna be here, we'll see what.
Yeah, that one, we were trying to be consistent with all of our sites.
Right.
This should be no different than any other site.
And here again, it says, we will allow organized aerial activity with the, period. That means if we had a drone contest.
In other sites, are drones allowed now?
No. We've never addressed, this is the first site we have.
This is the only really open field site.
Has anybody seen people flying drones on conservation? I mean, this is the only open site.
I've seen it on the Cape. I was down
Yeah,
at the
but I
Cape.
mean on our land. Most of our land's woodland, so there's no real open area.
I did
I suppose maybe at Red Wing Farm.
I did see a radio-controlled car up at Oak Hill one day on the trail.
Really?
Yep, guy had a remote control car.
Oh, he's walking behind it, you
and
mean?
it was like going off ahead of him, and then he'd come around the corner, and then it would go. I was like, okay, like I don't think we said
So you're
no,
right, Billy. I
but-
think the only other site would be Red Wing Farm, but
No, I mean, Carl said
Yeah.
we're trying to be consistent with everything,
well,
so how's it coming up?
well, what we'll do, anything we
Address-
adapt in here, we'll take a look at whether we should move it into some of the other reservations. We want consistency.
Right.
Yeah, but again, we wouldn't allow drone flights even here unless it's on a specific day that we say, September 28th is the day we allow it, like once a year or something like that. If we
Then it would
decided
have to be
do it.
organized because it's potentially
We
dangerous.
have an option to give a one-time, okay, say somebody got married at Red Wing Farm, they put a drone up to take pictures.
Sure.
Have to go through an
Well,
event
I think it's
registration.
important to keep it open for police and fire.
That's excluded, right, Mark?
Or that's,
Because police and, in
That's-
Chelmsford, police and fire, I think, both have drones now.
yeah,
Yeah.
we've excluded
I know
it
the fire
from the
department does.
prohibition. So it's allowed.
But you're right, Bill, if we gave someone a wedding permit, part of that would be, yeah, we want to take pictures using a drone.
Right.
And then we'd have to decide whether we'll let them or not.
Well, if we put it specifically in this, will we have to have whoever's holding the restriction get their okay before
No.
we give our okay?
No.
That's
That's
not
what I don't want to
No,
end up
That's not
doing.
our
That's-
intent. Yeah.
That's why we're taking out this, with, wherever they said with their approval, we've strike it out. And that's gonna be probably the most serious area of negotiation with them, I think.
Is this typically put into what we're doing, that money, that was purchased from CPC money? This is why this is being used, you said. Is this like a check and balance?
Yeah,
That's basically what it
Exactly.
is.
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Because the taxpayer
But-
money,
But the point, the way it should work is that they would check us, audit us on a regular basis. I don't know if it's really annual, because I don't think they audit Sunny Meadow or Sheehan Farm that often.
Never check
but-
up
it's
on them.
probably on an as-heard basis. They hear
yeah.
something
But
and
I
they go
think
out and check
that
it out.
Typically, the practice is you could do it every year. They could do it, and they should, if you do it right, you're supposed to go walk the
Mark, you
boundaries.
know how the-
Make sure you're not having any encroachment
Like the
from
Board of,
neighbors.
the Board of Selectmen are supposed to walk the town line once a year? I don't know that they do it, but they're supposed to walk all around town. Yeah. you
That's
know
a lot
that?
of walking.
Yeah.
Taking me a year to.
I don't think they walk. I don't think they walk.
It allows us to do selective forestry and cutting based on certain state laws. And here again, yeah, that's what that
forest management or
paragraph.
stewardship.
Because we may need to do that. In fact, we should do that. We need to do some forestry management in some of our older reservations anyhow. So this gives us the right to do it. Remember, without these things in here, we couldn't do them. Number 10 is we have to keep the site the way it is, the way we acquired it. We can't bring in bulldozers and change the site, which I don't think we want to do anyhow. The only possible place might be the parking, but that's discussed up above. It says that we will comply with all wetland regulations, both local, state, and federal. It says we will and we will use best management practices. Section 13 describes the parking lot, 30 spaces. Interesting enough, they wanted to say in the parking lot that we might construct off-site. And of course, that's not, this conservation restriction pertains to Warren Pole.
Actually, I was going to try to reword some of this to be
Yeah.
more defining it by
Area.
area, and whatever DPW can fit in there.
Because we're not,
up to 15
and
to
the reason,
18.
the reason that is 30 in here is because, remember earlier on, we said 18. We're not quite sure what,
The need.
we think the need's 18, but it's possible that the DPW can configure it to handle up to 30. So we want that flexibility in case we need it. And again, we don't know what the demand on the site's gonna be
But
either.
we'd like to make the restriction based on like a boundary, so, you know, you've been
Like
out
a
there.
like a
and you say,
circle.
like, from that, where the fire hydrant is back, is where you can do parking. You know, beyond the fire hydrant, you know, and we'd have to put a map in there.
Right.
No, you know, it's no more, you know, we're not gonna go any further out there,
Right.
so. And that way, because we don't even know, again, you know, in 20 or 30 years, cars might be a different configuration, the way the world's going, you don't know. So we don't wanna say, well, it's 20, you know, 18 spots. It's like, well, maybe we can do, you know, bicycle spots or whatever, so.
Right.
I'd rather go by area.
14 allows us to
Yeah, yeah.
allows us to put in appropriate drainage to maintain ditches and maintain the natural brooks that are on the site. 15 is a fairly long one. It's agriculture. It's defining the kind of agriculture. This may be an interesting discussion because you'll notice in the first paragraph they want to allow us to have livestock. Dairy cattle, beef cattle, poultry, fowl, sheep, swine, horses, ponies, mules, goats, alpacas, llamas, rabbits. And we said we don't want that, so we struck that out. But we do want other agriculture, particularly crops and hay and stuff like that. And then
Allowable. Doesn't mean
and that's what's
our
listed.
policy up front will be no, but other than
Right.
hay.
And that's what A through I,
J, K, L, M.
J,
Aye.
A through K kind of tells us what we can do in terms of agriculture. Store farm equipment on the site, mow, graze, and create fields and pastures and meadows. Extract dredge, loam, peat, and gravel as needed. Apply pesticides and herbicides. Import, stockpile, and spread topsoil. Install site pervious fences. Site pervious, these are fences you can see through, like a split rail fence. So we can't use chain link fences under agriculture. You'll see later on, we think we may need a chain link fence at the entrance of the driveway next to that brown condo house, because there's a side entrance that kind of steps out onto the driveway.
But you can see through a chain link fence.
Yeah. Yeah, but I don't think it meets the definition of
Stockade and privacy.
site pervious. I suppose you could argue it is,
Yeah, I think,
Yeah.
yeah. I think
as
that would-
opposed to a solid.
But we wouldn't be
yeah.
Stockade
we
or
wouldn't be
privacy.
putting that out on the
Okay.
property, though.
And it allows us to maintain farm equipment on the site. And
I
here,
think, again, Dave, I think I'm late at getting a comment in here about, on D, under 15, on the pesticides and herbicides. I think what we want to have the wording something along the lines of sustainable and
you're
organic.
gonna give me that
Yeah, I'm gonna
wording,
get
please.
that wording to
Yeah.
you. As
you know,
a
for-
highly preferred, with, you know, minimal
We don't, I don't think
pesticides
we
and
want to
herbicides.
use Roundup by the gallons, or the multi-gallons. You'll
But
notice that,
pesticide management sometimes,
Yeah.
invasive management, sometimes that's, you're, you know, and if you're not doing it foliar, if you're just doing it, like, applying it right to the cut root, you can minimize, but we really want to, we don't want to do much of that at all.
we can maintain existing paved farm roads as the farm. We can construct or place other permanent structures for agriculturally related uses. And here again, they wanted their approval for us to do that, and I've struck that out. So wherever it says, with grantee's prior written approval, that phrase has been taken out of this draft.
Are we sure that's not a requirement of a CR, though?
What?
That we have to get the approval from the grantee?
No, there's no requirement in a
I
CR.
think Sunny Meadow has all those,
Oh, I'm
too.
sure it does. That's probably why it's here.
Oh, okay.
But then again, one of the differences between Warren Pole and Sunny Meadows is not under the jurisdiction of any commission or committee. I think
It's town
under-
manager,
it's under the town manager's jurisdiction.
board of selectmen,
And,
town
and,
manager.
yeah, and whereas this is under our jurisdiction, I think that makes a big difference. Where else are we? KLM, here again. Interesting, I added under 16 as a permitted activity. And this one we may need to discuss with them. I added giving us the right to install antennas, utility poles, towers, solar panels, solar arrays, or other structures or facility on or above or under the premises. But the proviso is where it is deemed to be in the public interest or for the benefit of the premises. That's going to be an interesting subject. What I'm saying is, there may be some municipal emergency where the town might need something, and the only place for it was on our property. Would we, as a Conservation Commission, say that that municipal need is greater than the conservation needs? And I think the Conservation Commission should have the right to discuss that and decide it.
I mean, I wouldn't want to have a solar,
No,
solar panel.
Well, no,
Solar's in the
but here again, we talked about actually having small solar panels to create electricity for the barn.
I'd be okay with that. I just wouldn't want to have like something like. out
Well,
on
here again,
Oak Hill.
it has to meet, no, it has to, well, that's why this is brand new. It has to meet make the, being deemed to be in the public interest or for the benefit of the premises. Now, here again, solar panels for the whole town or solar panel to generate electricity for the barn? I think my feeling is the latter and not the former, particularly because we've got a bunch of solar farms in town.
Yeah, exactly. I wouldn't want one
Okay.
of those, you know?
On the other hand, I wanted language that wouldn't preclude us from doing something if it became a real emergency. Now, we can take that out if you don't like it. Because they haven't seen this.
That's the
And-
one.
and keep
That's
in
the
mind
one where
today-
you can give them with their permission. Just give them one
Yeah, yeah.
with your permission. Give them
But
that
also,
last
also
one.
keep in mind, today's technology for a solar panel array might be very different than what we might allow in 20 years or 30 years. It might be, you're just talking about, 30 square feet. Now, that being said, I'm not sure why we would do it here rather than behind Town Hall or something, so.
I'm okay if it's for the benefit of the premises, but I wouldn't want to go beyond the premises.
Solar lights in the parking lot or
Exactly.
something.
I'd be okay with that.
Well, it's like designating an area for a cell tower.
Right.
You definitely wouldn't want to see that.
We don't want to sell
No,
tower.
we don't want that.
So you want me to take that, so I'll do, we'll do some editing here. Where I'll take, says permanent structure or facility on, above, or under the premises where it is deemed for the benefit of the premises. And take the public interest out of it.
Okay, I'm okay with that.
Shall I take that out?
Yeah. And who's going to deem it? Is it going to be us, the grantor?
That's
Yeah.
that's the one you give them a deem.
Yeah.
Just one. Have to.
But, yeah, this, obviously negotiations got some give and take, and
Yeah.
this would be one that I was less concerned about.
Well, and the other thing is, from a time perspective, that's not something we'd do like in a short time. It's not like somebody saying, "Oh, I want to do a wedding next month," and not that weddings are usually that quick, but you never know. Versus a, but if it was if we were going to do something like that, it's not something you'd do in a week or
Something
a
like
month.
what, Carl?
Like a wedding,
No, what are you,
like building one of these things. Getting the
building an
approval,
antenna for a wedding?
building a solar farm. If
solar
we were
farm
doing a
for a
solar farm
wedding?
for the premises,
Oh, okay.
for the premises.
All right, all right, all right, Carl owes me some changes, which he just talked about. I made a change to this one that we just discussed, because I thought it might be pushing it, and I think I get a sense from you guys it is. So what I've done is I've I've took out the public interest, and I also put in with grantor's approval, which will not be unreasonably withheld.
Grantee.
Grantee.
Marty.
Okay. So those are the items of do's and don'ts. The next section, building envelope, is some reference to the Chelmsford Water District. We're not sure what they mean, but we haven't had any negotiations with the Chelmsford Water District. And the rest of it is legal stuff of what do you do if you get into a peeing contest, you know, that kind of thing. And since we have one lawyer on the Conservation Commission, we'll ask him to give us his expert opinion.
Boilerplate, Dave, just boilerplate.
If situations arise where nobody can make a decision, what do you do with this?
I don't know.
Rock, paper, scissors.
Sorry, I don't know.
No, I mean, after it's approved, and it's already in place.
I think in here
If there's
it
a
does-
violation, if somebody thinks the other party is violating,
Yeah.
there's language in here.
Yeah.
It's the way that you would with any contract.
It's like section 3A, that's where it is, the legal remedies. You'd have to go to court.
I think,
Oh, there's a
yeah.
remedy in? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's typical as with any contract.
Yeah.
I mean, because this, in fact, is a contract.
Right. But you don't want to be any more ambiguous than you have to be either.
Well, the
no,
trouble,
this-
you're right. And that's why this is maybe as long as it appears to be. But you know there's going to be ambiguity somewhere in here, right?
Yeah, but most of that part came right from the state's template. It's.
I mean, yeah, the
it's truly
state does have a
boilerplate.
template.
Yeah.
So if you guys have any other comments tonight, I'll note them. If you want to send them to me in an email, please do before the end of this week, because we'd like to get all of our comments in and get it to our town council by the end of this week so that Carl and I can give Dale a call and arrange to sit down and talk about it.
You want to get it done that quickly?
I want to just keep it moving.
Okay.
I mean, if we
I
go,
just as soon take this home and read it.
Yep.
Fill in the margins and ask just questions when I come back.
I figured if I gave you 4 days, that was enough time.
I'm still working, I'm not retired.
Dave, what's the
How much time would you like?
I don't know, next meeting?
Next meeting, okay. If I can have your comments before the next meeting so I can get them into another draft, how's that? If you can give them to me maybe like 3 days before the next meeting?
You hold my feet to the fire.
I would love a fire right now. I'm absolutely frozen. I'm trying to shut that thing down. It's not working.
What's the process after we come up with a document? Do we vote on it as a board to go forward, or how does that work? Or does it just go from us to the town? or
No. I think
to the
we should vote and get consensus that this is the document that we would like Bischoff and McLaughlin to negotiate with the land trust. And then, having done that, we'll come back to you and tell you the results of that discussion. And then there'll be a final, at some point, hopefully, there's a final vote that you say, we like it.
But as a board, we have that say?
Yep.
I think we should have that say, since we're going to be,
I don't know how it's commonly
well,
done.
technically, it's the Board of Selectmen that are the party to
Right,
this. So,
but before
but
they
I
get
think
it-
they're going to look to us and say, do you guys buy into this?
Right, because if we're going to control,
Right.
we're in
Right.
charge of it.
So that's why I think we should say.
Yeah, we should do it. We should put it to a vote and, authorize you guys to head out with a negotiating strategy that we're on board with. So we'll do it, I say, next meeting, right? We'll have a chance.
3
to all
three
look through
days
it,
before the next meeting,
our
so
inputs into
so I can
Dave.
put the changes in.
And then we'll look at it and then
That's
take a vote next meeting.
July
if we're
17th.
Supportive or not, But I think you're heading in the right direction, guys,
That's all I had, Chris.
Very good, good. Anything else in land management?
Thanks for all the work on that, Dave.
Don't thank us yet.
It's a lot to it.
All right, good. Agents, anything else? No? We've got minutes. We've got minutes.
Those have been previously
I
approved.
guess
We
we
approved
already,
these
I guess
already?
we already did those.
What the, you're trying to trick us up, huh?
Is there,
Good.
I'm tricking myself up, that's the sad thing.
Yeah, she emailed me. She's like, I'm confused.
Chris, are you aware of any big projects coming down the line that we're going to see? Have you heard of any?
I haven't heard anything.
Has anybody? I haven't either. Have you?
No, it's been pretty just small,
Quiet out there.
single family stuff.
I think this is a big project.
Training school.
Yeah.
Training school.
Oh, yeah,
well,
we don't know, we don't know it's a project yet. We're not supposed to, we're just delineating now.
Coming, though.
It's coming.
Did that property in River Neck Road get rezoned for e-commerce?
They withdrew the,
No.
they withdrew the warrant article, I
did?
It
think.
did not.
Okay.
Or did it get vetoed?
It just got withdrawn.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Oh, good.
yeah.
I don't think that's the place to do something like that.
And how about 9 Acton Road? Nothing?
Nothing there either.
They started on the Hamel property up in Dunstable Road.
Yeah, I think they have. They
work
started
on that.
clearing, right. They got the house
Yes,
down?
they started.
No, the house is still there.
House is still there. Their Board of Health has some issues with the demo.
Did they find anything when they were
They
digging?
could smell something, I guess, but
At the house or out on the
out on the
property?
property, yeah.
Surprise, surprise.
I did a pre-construction, all the erosion controls look good.
Yeah.
I signed off on the demo permit and that's the last I heard of it.
Very good.
Hasn't gone any further.
We have a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion, we adjourn.
By Carl to adjourn. Second.
Second.
Billy, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Meeting's over.
Nice.
Thank you.